When Fareed, a charming Muslim graduate student with mysterious evening prayers, moves in next door, suburban accountant David Wheeler becomes the only one to connect neighborhood break-ins with his new neighbor's mosque visits. After his wife Sarah is brutally attacked during a home invasion, David's suspicions intensify despite police dismissing them as prejudice. With mounting evidence but no allies, David must risk everything to expose the dangerous truth hiding behind his neighbor's pious facade. Before we begin, write in the comments where you're listening to our stories from. Subscribe to our channel, it's free, and you can always change your mind. Enjoy the story. Chapter 1. Signs and Whispers. The knock on our door came at precisely 6:13 p.m. on a Tuesday. I remember checking my watch, a habit from 15 years at the accounting firm, as Sarah called from the kitchen. "David, can you get that?" Our peaceful suburban life in Oakwood Hills, Connecticut, had followed the same comfortable rhythm for years. Tuesday dinners were always Sarah's famous lasagna, the girls would be finishing homework upstairs, and I'd be loosening my tie after a day of spreadsheets and client meetings. That knock changed everything. He stood on our porch with a warm smile and a small plate of homemade baklava. "I am Fareed," he said with a slight accent. "Your new neighbor. I hope I am not disturbing." There was something in his eyes I couldn't place, something calculating behind the politeness. But Sarah was already beside me, her hand on my arm, welcoming him with that natural warmth that drew me to her 20 years ago. "Not at all!" We've been wondering who bought the Miller house. "I'm Sarah, this is my husband David, and our daughters Emma and Lily are upstairs." I noticed how his gaze lingered upward at the mention of our daughters, just for a fraction too long. "Please," he said, offering the plate. "A small gift from my homeland." Sarah invited him in despite my subtle headshake. "You must stay for dinner. We have plenty." That's how it began. Fareed at our dinner table, charming my wife with stories of his studies in religious history, making my daughters laugh with tales of his homeland. Only I seemed to notice how he deflected personal questions, how vague his past remained. "Your prayer time is soon, isn't it?" Sarah asked as she served dessert. Of course she'd researched Islamic customs, wanting to be respectful. His smile tightened slightly. "You are very observant, Mrs. Wheeler." "Yes, I must excuse myself shortly." Every evening after that, I watched from our living room window as Fareed walked toward the small mosque 3 blocks away. Every morning I'd hear his prayer calls, the melodic Arabic floating through our open windows. The first week passed, then a second. Sarah began inviting Fareed over regularly, impressed by his academic knowledge and gentle manners. Emma, our 16-year-old, found his stories about ancient civilizations fascinating for her history project. 12-year-old Lily was simply enchanted by his accent and the small trinkets he occasionally brought her. "Cultural artifacts," he called them. "Don't you think it's strange?" I asked Sarah one night as we readied for bed. "He never talks about family. No photos in his windows. No visitors," Sarah sighed, pulling her reading glasses off. "David, he's a graduate student in a foreign country. His family is probably thousands of miles away. But he has money. That house, the clothes, that watch he wears. Graduate students don't live like that. Maybe he has family money. Maybe he has a scholarship. Why are you so suspicious?" I couldn't explain the unease that crawled up my spine whenever Fareed's gaze lingered too long on our possessions. The antique silverware from Sarah's grandmother, the small Degas print we'd splurged on for our anniversary. Then came the neighborhood break-ins. First the Hendersons 2 streets over, then the elderly Patels at the corner. Nothing violent, just missing jewelry, cash, electronics. Professional jobs, the police said. No fingerprints. "Probably kids from the community college," Officer Ramirez suggested when he took statements. Nobody mentioned the new neighbor. Nobody except me. "You've seen him going to the mosque every night?" Ramirez asked, jotting notes. "Like clockwork." 7:30 to 9. "And the break-ins happened?" "Between 7:30 and 9. Ramirez's pen stopped. He looked at me evenly. "Mr. Wheeler, are you suggesting something based on your neighbor's religious practices?" Heat rushed to my face. "I'm suggesting something based on coincidences." Ramirez closed his notebook. "We'll look into all possibilities, but I'd be careful about making assumptions." Sarah was furious when she found out. "Do you know how that makes us look? Accusing the only Muslim in the neighborhood the minute something goes wrong?" "I didn't accuse him. I just pointed out a pattern." But Sarah was already walking away, shaking her head. That night, I couldn't sleep. I slipped out of bed and went downstairs, drawn to the window overlooking Fareed's house. A light was on in his basement, just a faint glow around the edges of the curtains. At 3 a.m., I grabbed my phone and took a video, just in case. The next morning, I installed a hidden camera in our living room. "You're becoming obsessed," Sarah said when she found the Amazon package. "This isn't healthy." Maybe she was right. Maybe I was letting prejudice color my judgment, but then why did I catch Fareed studying our home's layout every time he visited? Why did he ask such specific questions about our schedules? I started researching him online. Fareed Nassar, supposedly a religious studies doctoral candidate at Hartford University. But the department website didn't list him among their students. When I called the registrar's office, they had no record of him. Who was living next door to us? Then came the night I worked late. The Peterson account needed reviewing, and I texted Sarah not to wait up. When I pulled into our driveway at 11:48 p.m., the house was dark, except for a strange, flickering light in the living room. The front door was unlocked. My heart hammered as I stepped inside to find a trail of crimson droplets leading across our cream carpet. In the silence, I could hear something, a low, rhythmic murmuring. Sarah? My voice sounded foreign to my own ears. I followed the blood drops to find my wife sprawled on the living room floor, a deep gash across her forehead, our family safe broken open beside her. The wedding jewelry passed down from her grandmother, the emergency cash, my father's watch, all gone. And through our open window, carried on the night breeze, I could hear it clearly now. Fareed's evening prayers, rising and falling with practiced precision. I called 911 with shaking hands, cradling Sarah's head as the girls came downstairs, their screams slicing through the night.
Dad!
What happened to Mom? Emma's face was ghost white, her hands clutching Lily's shoulders. Someone broke in, I managed. Go get towels now! Sarah's eyes fluttered open as sirens wailed in the distance. David? Her voice was a rasp. He was wearing a mask. I tried to stop him. Shh, don't talk. Help is coming, but I already knew. As the paramedics took Sarah away, as Detective Ramirez questioned me in my blood-stained living room, as my daughters huddled together on the couch, I stared out the window at Fareed's house. The lights were on, and I could see his silhouette moving calmly behind the curtains. Chapter 2. Shadows of Doubt. The hospital waiting room smelled of antiseptic and fear. Emma sat beside me, her fingers flying across her phone screen as she updated relatives. Lily had finally fallen asleep against my arm, her face still streaked with dried tears. Mr. Wheeler? The doctor's voice pulled me from my thoughts. Your wife is stable. The laceration required 12 stitches, and she has a moderate concussion, but there's no skull fracture or intracranial bleeding. Relief washed over me. Can we see her? Briefly. She needs rest. Sarah looked small against the white hospital sheets, a bandage wrapped around her head. Her eyes fluttered open when we entered. My girls, she whispered, reaching for their hands. While they shared a moment, I stepped into the hallway with the doctor. Was anything else done to her? I couldn't bring myself to say the words. The doctor shook her head. No signs of any other assault. This appears to be strictly an injury sustained during the robbery. Detective Ramirez was waiting when I returned to Sarah's room. Mrs. Wheeler, I know this is difficult, but can you describe what happened? Sarah's voice was faint. I was reading in the living room. I heard a noise at the back door, but I thought it was just the wind. Then suddenly someone was there, wearing black, face covered. I screamed and tried to run, but he caught me, pushed me down. My head hit the corner of the coffee table. Did you see anything distinctive? Height? Build? Race? Accent? Sarah's eyes darted to mine. Medium height. Slim but strong. I couldn't see his face or skin. He didn't speak. After Ramirez left, I sat beside her bed while the girls went to find the cafeteria. It was him, wasn't it? I whispered. Sarah's eyes welled with tears. David, please don't start this again. Not now. Sarah, the university has no record of him. He's not who he says he is. You called the university? Her voice rose slightly before she winced in pain. Of course I did! And I was right. He's been lying to us. To you. A tear slipped down her cheek. David, I barely saw anything. It happened so fast. But what I did see, it wasn't Fareed. How can you be sure if his face was covered? The build was different. Heavier. People can wear padding. I took her hand. Sarah, listen to me. The break-in started when he arrived. He's always asking about our schedules, looking at our things. He disappears to pray exactly when the robberies happen. Stop. Her voice was firm despite her condition. I won't have you turning this into some xenophobic witch hunt. The police will find whoever did this. But the police found nothing. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses, just like the other break-ins. Our case was nothing special in their eyes. Just another suburban burglary among dozens that month. I brought Sarah home 3 days later, setting her up in our bedroom with everything she needed within reach. The girls took turns bringing her meals and keeping her company. Our home had become a fortress. New alarm system, reinforced locks, security cameras. Fareed brought flowers. Mrs. Wheeler, I was so distressed to hear what happened, he said, standing awkwardly in our foyer. I'd only let him in because the girls had answered the door. Sarah smiled weakly from her wheelchair. Thank you, Fareed. That's very kind. Is there anything I can do? Perhaps cook a meal? Or help with driving the girls to their activities? No, I said firmly, stepping between them. We've got it covered. His eyes met mine, something unreadable passing between us. Of course, I understand. As he turned to leave, he paused. I noticed your new security cameras. Very wise. I've been thinking of getting some myself. A chill ran through me. Any particular reason? Just precaution. His smile didn't reach his eyes. These neighborhood incidents are concerning. Stay well, Mrs. Wheeler. After he left, Sarah sighed. You were rude. I don't want him in our house. David, no, Sarah. Not until we know who he really is. That night, after checking the locks twice, I opened my laptop and began digging deeper. If Hartford University had no record of Fareed Nassar, who was he? I searched public records, social media, news archives. Nothing before 6 months ago. It was as if he hadn't existed. I created a log of his comings and goings, noting times, clothing, whether he carried anything. Emma caught me watching through the blinds. Dad, this is getting creepy, she said, arms folded across her chest. I'm trying to protect our family. By becoming a stalker? I turned to face her. Emma, do you know where Fareed goes every day besides the mosque? She shrugged. Library. Classes? Why don't you just ask him? Because people who lie about their identity don't usually tell the truth when questioned. The next day, I called in sick to work. Once Sarah and the girls had left for the day, Sarah insisting on returning to her part-time job at the library despite my protests, I waited by the window. At 10:15 a.m., Fareed emerged, dressed in jeans and a light jacket, carrying a messenger bag. He got into his silver Audi and drove away. I followed him. The car was my brother's, borrowed the night before with a vague excuse about mine being in the shop. Fareed wouldn't recognize it. He drove to the edge of town, to an industrial area with warehouses and small businesses. He parked outside a nondescript building with a sign reading Global Imports and Exports, LLC, and went inside. I waited an hour before approaching the building, trying to appear casual as I peered through the tinted front windows. I could make out a reception area, empty, and hallways leading deeper into the building. A business card display in the lobby window listed Fareed Nassar as Cultural Acquisitions Specialist. I snapped a photo with my phone and retreated to the car. He emerged at 3:30 p.m., carrying his bag, which now appeared heavier. He drove directly to the mosque, arriving just in time for afternoon prayers. When I returned home, I researched Global Imports and Exports. Their website was vague. Specialized importing services, cultural artifacts, international shipping solutions. The company had been registered 2 years ago by a Khalid Mahfouz, with a business address in Delaware. I looked up Khalid Mahfouz and found nothing except a small obituary from 8 months ago. Heart attack at age 62. The pieces were starting to come together, but I still couldn't see the full picture. That evening, Sarah seemed stronger, moving around the kitchen with just occasional winces of pain. I think I might sleep in our bed tonight, she said as we cleared dinner dishes. I'm tired of being an invalid. Are you sure? The doctor said, I'm fine, David. Her tone was clipped. Things had been tense between us since the break-in, my suspicions driving a wedge between us. After the girls went to bed, I showed Sarah what I'd found. He works for this import company. The owner died recently. Don't you find it odd that he's never mentioned this job? And why pretend to be a student? Sarah rubbed her temples. Maybe because he knew you'd react exactly like this? David, you've been judging him from day one. With good reason. Nothing about him adds up. So he's private about his life. That doesn't make him a criminal. What about this? I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo I'd taken of Fareed's basement window the night before. A blue light pulsing inside, casting strange shadows. You're photographing his house now? Sarah stood up. This has to stop. What kind of light pulses blue like that? What's he doing down there? I don't know. Working? Praying. Having a dance party? It doesn't matter. This isn't healthy, David. As we argued, a noise from outside caught my attention. I moved to the window and froze. Fareed was standing in his driveway looking directly at our house. Even from this distance, I could see the intensity in his gaze, and in his hand was a phone pointed at our window recording. Sarah joined me. What's wrong? I pointed. He's watching us. But Fareed had already lowered the phone and was walking back inside his house. You see? I whispered. He's playing a game with us. Sarah's face had gone pale. For the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. I need to know what's in his basement, I said. Sarah gripped my arm. No. Whatever you're thinking, no. Let the police handle this. The police think I'm a paranoid racist. They're not gonna help us. Then we'll move. We'll find a new house. And leave him here to target someone else? What about the Morrisons with their new baby? Or old Mrs. Peterson who lives alone? Sarah had no answer for that. That night, I waited until Sarah's breathing deepened with sleep. I dressed in dark clothes and slipped out of the house, moving across our backyard toward Fareed's property. The neighborhood was silent, most windows dark. Fareed's house showed no signs of life, but I knew his car was in the garage. I crept along the side of his house, staying in the shadows, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure it would give me away. The basement window was at ground level, partially obscured by ornamental bushes. I knelt down, pushing aside branches to peer inside. What I saw made my blood run cold. The basement had been converted into a workshop of sorts. Tables lined the walls, covered with artifacts. Statues, jewelry, small carved items. On one wall hung maps with locations marked in red. On another, photographs, some of museums, some of private homes, including ours. In the center of the room stood Fareed, his back to me, working over something on a central table. As he moved aside, I could see what appeared to be jewelry laid out, and with a jolt, I recognized Sarah's grandmother's emerald necklace. I must have made a sound because suddenly Fareed tensed. He turned slowly, his eyes scanning the room, then moving toward the window. I ducked down, heart racing, pressing myself against the house wall. When I dared to look again, the basement was empty. The light was off. I needed to get home, now. As I rose to move, a voice behind me froze me in place. Mr. Wheeler, what a surprise. I turned slowly to find Fareed standing there, a serene smile on his face and something metallic glinting in his hand. I believe, he said softly, we need to talk. Chapter 3. The Collector, Mr. Wheeler. What a surprise. I turned slowly to find Fareed standing there, a serene smile on his face and something metallic glinting in his hand. I believe, he said softly, we need to talk. My mouth went dry. The metallic object caught the moonlight. A small ornate letter opener, its handle embedded with blue stones. Breaking and entering is a serious crime, Fareed said, his voice calm as if discussing the weather. Though I suppose trespassing is the more accurate charge, since you haven't yet entered. I saw my wife's necklace in there, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Fareed's expression didn't change. Did you? That would be quite remarkable, considering your position and the lighting. I know it was you. The break-ins, Sarah's attack, Mr. Wheeler, he interrupted. Your imagination has clearly been working overtime. He gestured toward his back door. Please come inside. If you're so convinced, let's clear this up. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't. Not without proof. Not when he was standing between me and home. I followed him to the back door, maintaining distance, watching his hands. He unlocked it and stepped aside, allowing me to enter first. After you, he said with that same unsettling smile. The kitchen was immaculate. Modern appliances, granite countertops, nothing out of place. No signs of the man I'd glimpsed in the basement. The basement door is there, Fareed said, pointing to a door off the kitchen. Since you're so interested in my private space, by all means. I approached slowly, turned the knob, and descended the stairs, hyper-aware of Fareed following behind me. He flicked on the lights. The basement was nothing like what I'd seen through the window. A simple, furnished room greeted me. A desk with a computer, bookshelves lined with academic texts, a prayer rug in the corner. No tables of artifacts, no maps, no stolen jewelry. As you can see, Mr. Wheeler, just my humble study, where I work on my dissertation. Fareed moved past me to the desk, setting down the letter opener. Though I admit I haven't been entirely truthful about my studies. My eyes darted around the room, searching for any sign of what I'd seen. Had I imagined it? Was stress making me delusional? I'm not enrolled at Hartford, he continued. I was, briefly, but I took a leave of absence to focus on my work with Global Imports. The company specializes in authenticating and acquiring cultural artifacts from museums and private collectors. My religious studies background makes me particularly valuable for pieces from the Middle East. He pulled out his wallet and handed me a business card. Global Imports and Exports, with his name and title. The late Mr. Mahfouz was my uncle, he explained. I inherited his share of the business after his passing. I stared at the card, then back at the room. I saw... What exactly did you see, Mr. Wheeler? Through a dirty window, in the dark, looking into a basement with blue light? He reached over to his computer and pressed a key. The screen came to life, showing a 3D rendering of what looked like an ancient vase, rotating slowly. The program cast a blue glow around the room. Photogrammetry software, Fareed explained, for creating 3D models of artifacts. The blue light helps with texture mapping. My certainty began to crumble. Had prejudice really clouded my judgment so badly that I'd invented evidence? But I saw the jewelry, my wife's necklace. I've been cataloging several emerald pieces lately. Perhaps the similarity confused you. Fareed opened a drawer and removed a cloth-wrapped bundle. He unfolded it to reveal several pieces of emerald jewelry, none of them Sarah's. Museum-bound, he said. 18th century Ottoman. Quite valuable. I felt dizzy, doubt creeping in. Had I been wrong about everything? Then why lie about being a student? Why all the secrecy? Fareed's expression shifted subtly. When you deal in high-value artifacts, discretion becomes habit. And frankly, Mr. Wheeler, your hostility was evident from our first meeting. Would you have been more or less suspicious had I told you I authenticate and transport valuable antiquities? I had no answer. Fareed sighed. I understand your concern for your family after what happened to Mrs. Wheeler. Truly, I do. But your fixation on me has become problematic. The timing of the break-ins is unfortunate coincidence. I've been in this business for years, Mr. Wheeler. I have no need to steal suburban jewelry. He gestured around the room. I'm not a thief. I'm a collector. A curator of history. The fight was draining out of me, replaced by creeping shame. Had I really stalked an innocent man based on nothing but cultural suspicion? I think you should leave now, Fareed said, his tone gentle but firm. For both our sakes, let's pretend this intrusion never happened. I won't mention it to Mrs. Wheeler or the authorities. I moved toward the stairs, my thoughts churning. As I reached the first step, something caught my eye. A small scuff on the wall, recently painted over, but visible in the harsh basement lighting. It was the exact height and shape as if a shelving unit had been removed. Fareed followed my gaze. For a moment, his composed expression flickered. Home improvements, he said smoothly. The previous owners had quite garish taste. I nodded, continuing up the stairs. In the kitchen, Fareed opened the back door for me. Good night, Mr. Wheeler. I hope you find peace of mind soon. As I crossed the yard toward my home, doubt battled with instinct. Was I wrong about Fareed? Had grief and fear twisted my perception so badly? But that scuff mark and the basement I'd seen through the window had been real. I knew what I saw. I slipped back into our house, checking each lock twice. Sarah was still asleep, unaware I'd left. I sat on the edge of the bed, watching her breathe. The bandage on her head a stark reminder of what had happened. Real or imagined, something wasn't right next door. And until I knew what, I couldn't let my guard down. The next morning, Sarah found me at the kitchen table, bleary-eyed from lack of sleep, scrolling through research on art theft and antiquities smuggling. David? She touched my shoulder. Did you sleep at all? I closed the laptop. Not much. How's your head? Better. She poured herself coffee. What are you working on? I hesitated. After my experience in Fareed's basement, I wasn't sure what to believe anymore. Just some work stuff. Sarah studied me. You know what the girls and I need right now? Normalcy. Can we just have breakfast together like a regular family? I nodded, pushing Fareed from my mind as Emma and Lily came downstairs, still in pajamas. We were halfway through pancakes when Emma's phone chimed. She glanced at it, then did a double take. Dad, isn't this Mrs. Henderson's necklace? The one that was stolen? She turned her phone to show us an Instagram post. A woman wearing an ornate necklace, identical to our neighbor's prized diamond pendant. Where did you see this? I asked, taking the phone. It's from this new account I follow, Curiosity Collector. They post about rare artifacts and jewelry. This was posted last night. The photo showed only the woman's neck and collarbone, no face. The caption read, New acquisition, American circa 1950. Diamond and platinum. I swiped to see the account. Dozens of similar photos. Close-ups of jewelry, statues, carvings. All anonymous. All perfectly lit and photographed. Can I see that Instagram account? Sarah asked, her voice strangely tight. I handed her the phone. She scrolled silently, her face growing paler. What's wrong? I asked. She pointed at a photo from 3 weeks ago. An emerald necklace, photographed against black velvet. Her grandmother's necklace. That's mine, she whispered. That's what was stolen. I took the phone back, examining the photo. There was no question. The distinctive setting, the small flaw in the largest emerald. It was Sarah's. When was this posted? My voice sounded distant to my own ears. 3 days after the break-in, Emma said. Sarah's eyes met mine. That flicker of doubt I'd seen the night before now blazing into certainty. I need to call Detective Ramirez, I said. Wait! Sarah grabbed my arm. Look at the location tag. Each photo was geotagged to a different city. Sarah's necklace, Istanbul. The Henderson pendant, Paris. Others from our neighborhood, London, Dubai, Marrakesh. If these are being sold overseas, Sarah began, they'd be impossible to recover, I finished. I looked out the window toward Fareed's house. His car was gone. Girls, go get dressed, Sarah said suddenly. We're going shopping. Shopping? Lily asked, confused by the tension in the room. Your dad and I need some privacy. Go on. Once they were upstairs, Sarah turned to me. David, I believe you now, but we can't go to the police with an Instagram account. They'll say it could be anyone posting these photos from anywhere. Then what do we do? Sarah's eyes hardened with resolve. We need real proof from inside his house. Enjoying our stories? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. Now let's get back to our story. Chapter 4, Unmasked. 3 days later, dressed for the Atherton Museum Gala, Sarah and I confirmed our suspicions. We overheard Fareed at the event discussing a shipment and buyers with a security guard. Sarah recognized a ceremonial mask being unveiled as an artifact stolen from the Baghdad Museum during the war. We slipped away early and broke into Fareed's house. In his basement, we discovered exactly what I'd glimpsed days before. Tables of stolen artifacts, security plans, and our neighborhood's missing items, including Sarah's necklace. A notebook detailed his operation, with a chilling note about our home. Wheeler Residence, Phase 2, May 21st. Before we could escape, Fareed returned unexpectedly. I created a diversion so Sarah could flee with the photographic evidence we'd collected. My plan worked, but it left me captured, bound to a chair in Fareed's living room. "Where's your wife taking the evidence, mister?" "Wheeler?" Fareed demanded, his cultured veneer replaced by cold efficiency. I remained silent while he outlined his elegant plan, establishing presence, gaining trust, identifying valuable targets, then systematically stealing from homes. He denied attacking Sarah, claiming that had been a genuine burglar and an unfortunate coincidence. "You expect me to believe that?" I asked. "It's irrelevant what you believe." He nodded to his guard. "Begin loading the priority items. We leave in 30 minutes. When Fareed's phone buzzed, he showed me a security feed of Sarah entering our home. "Smart woman. She's retrieving your daughters first." Unfortunately, that changes the equation. Cold fear gripped me. "Leave my family out of this." "I need those photos deleted and any evidence destroyed," Fareed replied. The guard returned with packed duffel bags, and Fareed announced they were taking me as a hostage. "His family has evidence that could implicate us. They'll trade it for his safe return." A syringe in my neck sent darkness creeping into my vision. I awoke on a concrete floor in Global Imports warehouse with Sarah kneeling beside me, cutting my restraints. "How did you find me?" I asked groggily. "I put a tracker app on your phone after the break-in," she explained, helping me to my feet. "The girls are safe with my sister. I uploaded the evidence to the cloud, then came for you. We tried to escape, but were caught at the exit." Fareed appeared with his gun drawn. "Enough, mister!" "And Mrs. Wheeler, this has become tiresome." Sarah stood defiant. "The evidence we've already sent to the FBI. They know everything about your operation." As Fareed ordered his men to bring us back inside, headlights swept across the parking lot. Officer Ramirez arrived, having been called by Sarah when she tracked my phone. We explained the situation, and Ramirez called for backup before approaching the warehouse. But when the police entered, they found only a small portion of the stolen goods. Fareed and his primary associates had escaped through a loading bay with the most valuable artifacts. In the following weeks, our lives slowly returned to normal. The neighborhood break-ins stopped. The police recovered some of our stolen items, though Sarah's emerald necklace remained missing. An international investigation into global imports and exports was launched, with Interpol issuing alerts for Fareed, whose real name turned out to be Karim Al-Jabouri, a known antiquities smuggler. 6 months later, as Sarah and I celebrated our anniversary with dinner on our back porch, my phone buzzed with a news alert. "What is it?" Sarah asked, seeing my expression. I handed her the phone, showing an article with Fareed's photo. "International art theft ringleader captured in Morocco." Sarah squeezed my hand. "It's over." "Almost," I said. "There's still one thing missing." The next morning, a package arrived at our door. No return address, just our names in elegant handwriting. Inside was a velvet box containing Sarah's grandmother's emerald necklace and a note written in familiar script. "A collector knows when it's time to relinquish a piece to its rightful owner. Consider this a gesture of professional courtesy. F." Sarah held the necklace to the light, examining it carefully. "It's really mine, not a replica." I took it from her, fastening it around her neck. He had a strange code of honor, I'll give him that. Should we tell Ramirez? I considered this, watching the morning sunlight catch the emeralds. "Let's just enjoy having it back." Sarah nodded, her fingers tracing the familiar setting. "You know, I kept thinking about something Fareed said when they questioned him at the warehouse. About how he wasn't stealing, but preserving history for those who truly appreciate it. What about it? Maybe there was a grain of truth there. Not in what he did, that was wrong. But in the idea that beautiful things should be with those who value them most." She smiled. "And no one values this necklace more than we do." I kissed her forehead, where the scar from that night had faded to a thin white line. Through our kitchen window, I could see the Miller house next door. New neighbors had moved in last week, a retired couple with grandchildren who visited on weekends. Normal, safe, but sometimes late at night, I still check the locks twice. And occasionally, when passing high-end jewelry stores or museum exhibitions, I find myself scanning for familiar pieces, wondering if any of them passed through the hands of the man who once lived next door. Some lessons once learned are never forgotten. Beautiful facades can hide ugly truths. Trust should be earned, not given. And sometimes, the most dangerous predators are the ones who smile and bring baklava to welcome themselves to the neighborhood. Chapter 5. The Hunt. The Global Imports warehouse raid yielded mixed results. Police recovered stolen items from several neighborhood break-ins, but the most valuable artifacts, including historical pieces from museums, were already gone. Fareed and his inner circle had escaped through a loading bay minutes before the police entered. It's like they vanished, Detective Ramirez explained, as we sat in his office a week later, reviewing the case. We found evidence of shipments to Turkey, Morocco, and Dubai, but the trail goes cold at each port. What about the Instagram account? Sarah asked. Curiosity collector? Deleted within hours of the raid, but we've preserved the images. Interpol is using them to track potentially stolen artifacts appearing on the market. I leaned forward. And Fareed? Or whatever his real name is? Ramirez slid a folder across his desk. Karim Al-Jabouri. Suspected antiquities smuggler with connections to several criminal networks. He's been on Interpol's watch list for years, but they've never managed to catch him. The photo inside showed a younger Fareed, Karim, standing next to a distinguished older man in front of a museum. Who's the other man? Sarah asked. Hassan Al-Jabouri, his father. Once a respected archaeologist, later suspected of selling artifacts on the black market. Died 5 years ago. The pieces clicked together. So this was the family business? Ramirez nodded. A very sophisticated operation. Karim creates legitimate front businesses, establishes himself in an area, identifies targets, then disappears with the goods before anyone connects the dots. Your neighborhood wasn't his first or his biggest score. But we interrupted his timeline, I said. He wasn't finished. No. According to that notebook you photographed, he was planning additional thefts. The Phase 2 mentioned for your house might have involved a more thorough cleaning out of valuables, possibly while you were away on vacation. Sarah shuddered. He asked about our summer plans several times. Said he'd water our plants if we went away. Very methodical, Ramirez remarked. Most of his previous targets never suspected him. In fact, many spoke highly of their cultured neighbor when interviewed after robberies. So what happens now? I asked. Interpol has issued alerts. Border security has his photo, but honestly, these guys are professionals. They have resources, connections, multiple identities. Ramirez closed the folder. Don't expect a quick resolution. As we left the police station, Sarah took my hand. I keep thinking about Mrs. Henderson and the Patels, all our neighbors who lost things that can't be replaced. At least they know what happened now. That's something. But not enough. Sarah's expression hardened. I want him caught, David. I want our things back. I want justice. I squeezed her hand. The police are handling it. Are they? Ramirez basically just told us Fareed will get away with it. She stopped walking, turning to face me. I'm not ready to accept that. What are you suggesting? I don't know yet, but I'm not giving up. In the days that followed, our lives attempted a return to normalcy. The girls went back to school. Sarah resumed her library job. I buried myself in accounting work. We installed a security system, replaced locks, bought motion detector lights. But beneath the surface, things had changed. Emma jumped at unexpected noises. Lily wouldn't sleep alone. Sarah researched obsessively online after the girls went to bed, tracking antiquities auctions, monitoring news about art theft, joining forums dedicated to recovering stolen cultural artifacts. I found her one night at 3 a.m., hunched over her laptop at the kitchen table. Sarah, come to bed. She didn't look up. I found something. Look. On the screen was an auction listing from a small gallery in Ankara, Turkey. The item, an emerald necklace with a setting remarkably similar to Sarah's grandmother's piece. It might not be the same one, I cautioned. The auction's tomorrow. The seller is listed as private collection. And look at the starting bid. Way below market value for a piece this quality. Classic move for a quick sale. What exactly are you planning to do? Fly to Turkey and crash an auction? She finally met my eyes. Why not? Because it's dangerous? Because these people already tried to kidnap me once? Because we have children? I'm not suggesting we confront anybody, Sarah countered. Just observe. Gather information. Maybe take pictures of the buyers. Something to help the authorities. I shook my head. This isn't our job, Sarah. Then whose is it? Ramirez said it himself. Fareed will probably get away with this. Her voice cracked slightly. That necklace was the last thing I had from my grandmother. I sat beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. I understand, but chasing international art thieves isn't the answer. Then what is? I had no answer. The next day, I returned home from work to find Sarah in animated conversation with a woman I didn't recognize. Sleek, professionally dressed with an air of authority. David, this is Agent Rivera, FBI Art Crime Team. The woman extended her hand. Mr. Wheeler, thank you for your cooperation in this matter. Cooperation? I looked between them. Sarah's eyes shone with excitement. I sent the auction listing to the FBI tip line. Agent Rivera thinks it might be connected to Fareed's network. We've been tracking Al-Jabori's operation for some time, Rivera explained. Your wife's information could prove valuable. I've been helping Agent Rivera identify other potential listings, Sarah added. Items that match descriptions from the notebook you photographed. I felt a mixture of pride and concern. Is this safe? These people are dangerous. Your wife isn't directly involved in our investigation, Rivera assured me. She's simply providing information, which we greatly appreciate. After Rivera left, Sarah revealed the full story. She'd been systematically searching auction sites worldwide, creating a database of items matching those in Fareed's basement. Her library research skills had proven remarkably effective. Agent Rivera says I have a good eye. The emerald necklace was almost certainly mine. The FBI is coordinating with Turkish authorities to monitor the auction. Sarah, that's amazing, but I know what you're going to say. She held up a hand. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about stopping people who steal cultural heritage, who steal family treasures. Over the following weeks, Sarah's partnership with the FBI deepened. She spent evenings identifying suspicious listings, cross-referencing them with her growing database. Agent Rivera called regularly with updates. Slowly a pattern emerged. Artifacts were appearing in specific galleries across Europe and the Middle East. Always different sellers, but similar methods. Quick sales, moderate prices to avoid attention, minimal provenance documentation. Then came a breakthrough. They've traced a payment, Sarah announced one evening, hanging up the phone. A buyer at the Turkish auction paid through a bank that flagged the transaction. It led to an account in Cyprus linked to a shipping company. Guess who owns that company? Fareed? His father's former business partner. They're closing in on the network. The next day, Agent Rivera visited again, this time with news. We've identified a major auction scheduled next month in Dubai. Multiple items matching those from your neighborhood, and other suspected Al-Jabori thefts. We believe Karim himself might attend. Why would he risk it? I asked. Pride, Rivera replied. These high-end auctions are status events in certain circles. Some collectors will only buy if they meet the broker personally. So you'll arrest him there? Sarah asked. Rivera's expression tightened. International jurisdiction complicates things. We're cooperating with local authorities, but we need absolute certainty it's him. What does that mean? We need visual confirmation. Someone who can positively identify Al-Jabori in person. Sarah and I exchanged glances, understanding dawning. You want us to go to Dubai, I said. Not both of you. Just one, posing as a potential buyer. Minimal risk, heavily monitored. You'd attend the preview event, confirm Al-Jabori's presence, then leave immediately. I'll do it, Sarah said without hesitation. No. I shook my head firmly. If anyone goes, it should be me. I spent more time with him. I'd recognize any disguise. Mr. Wheeler is correct, Rivera agreed. His accounting background also provides better cover as an investor interested in alternative assets. Sarah began to protest, but stopped herself. You're right. It makes more sense. She turned to me. But I don't like it. Neither do I admitted. But if it means catching him, ending this. 1 month later, I found myself in a luxurious hotel ballroom in Dubai, wearing a tailored suit and carrying a glass of champagne. The private auction preview buzzed with wealthy collectors examining display cases of artifacts and jewelry. In my ear, a nearly invisible communicator connected me to Agent Rivera and her team, monitoring from a room upstairs. Any sign of our target? Rivera's voice asked. I scanned the room casually. Not yet. I moved through the displays, recognizing several items from Fareed's basement photographs. In one case, a set of ancient coins matched those stolen from Professor Jenkins 3 streets over. In another, an ornate silver bracelet that had belonged to Mrs. Peterson. And there, in a place of honor in the center of the room, Sarah's emerald necklace. Found it, I murmured, pausing before the display. The necklace? Rivera asked. Yes, it's definitely Sarah's. The small flaw in the center emerald is unmistakable. Don't focus on it too long. Keep moving. I turned away, accepting a canapé from a passing server, and nearly dropped it. Across the room, speaking with an elderly collector, stood Fareed. He looked different. Shorter hair, designer glasses, a tailored suit, far more expensive than anything he'd worn in our neighborhood. But the calculating eyes, the graceful gestures, the practiced charm, unmistakable. Visual confirmation, I murmured. Northwest corner, blue suit, speaking with an older gentleman in white. Copy that, Rivera responded. Facial recognition is running. Confirmed. It's Al-Jabori. Maintain distance. Exit protocol initiating. I moved casually toward the exit as planned, keeping Fareed in my peripheral vision. Then he looked up. Our eyes met. For one frozen moment, recognition flashed across his face, followed by something unexpected. Not anger or fear, but what seemed like amused respect. He raised his glass slightly in my direction, a subtle acknowledgement. Then a security guard touched my elbow. "Sir, there's a call for you at reception." The prearranged extraction. I nodded, allowing myself to be guided out. "Target has made you!" Rivera's voice said urgently in my ear. Move quickly but naturally. In the elevator, the security guard, actually an FBI agent, briefed me. "Local authorities are moving in. We need you clear of the building." "What about the necklace?" I asked. "Sarah's necklace. Evidence now. If we recover it, there's a process." "I understand." I removed the earpiece as we reached the parking garage. "What happens now?" "We get you to the airport. Immediate departure." As we pulled away from the hotel, I saw police vehicles converging on the entrance. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "The game recognizes worthy opponents. Until we meet again." "Stop the car," I said suddenly. "Sir, we can't. He's not in the hotel. He's gone." Hours later, I was on a plane home, the operation having ended with mixed results. Dubai police had arrested several members of the smuggling network, but Fareed had vanished minutes before they entered the ballroom. Multiple items were recovered, including some from our neighborhood, but not Sarah's necklace. It too had disappeared. When I landed, Sarah was waiting at the airport, the girls beside her. I hugged them tightly, the reality of the risk I'd taken suddenly hitting me. "He got away," I told Sarah quietly as the girls walked ahead of us. "And the necklace? I know." "Agent Rivera called." She squeezed my hand. "It doesn't matter. Having you back safely is what counts." That night, after the girls were asleep, we sat on the back porch, processing everything. "It's not over," I said. "He's still out there. But his network is damaged. His buyers exposed. That matters." Sarah leaned against my shoulder. "And we helped make that happen. I saw him, Sarah!" He recognized me, and he wasn't angry. He was impressed, like this was all some elaborate game to him. Men like Fareed, Karim, they see the world differently. Objects, history, even people, all pieces to be moved around a board. I thought about his text message. I think in his way he respected us, for figuring him out, for fighting back. Respect doesn't excuse what he did. No, I agreed, but it might explain something. What? I hesitated. Why he didn't hurt you that night. He claimed the break-in was a coincidence, a regular burglar who happened to hit our house the same week he arrived. Sarah considered this. You think he was telling the truth? I think he sees himself as above common violence. His crimes are crafted, planned, almost artistic. Bashing someone's head in doesn't fit his self-image. We sat in silence, watching fireflies dance across the yard. The same yard where not so long ago, I'd crept toward Fareed's house, driven by suspicion and fear. "What now?" Sarah finally asked. "Now." I took her hand. "We live our lives. We stay vigilant, but we don't let fear control us." And if he comes back? I thought about the text message again. The chess player acknowledging a worthy opponent. He won't. Not here. His game has moved to new boards. As Sarah leaned her head against my shoulder, I felt something I hadn't expected. A sense of closure, despite the unfinished nature of it all. We had faced something extraordinary together and emerged stronger, wiser. The neighbor had changed us, and perhaps in some small way, we had changed him too. Chapter 6. Return 18 months passed. Life found its rhythm again. The girls thrived in school. Sarah received a promotion at the library. I made partner at the accounting firm. The events with Fareed became a strange story we occasionally shared at dinner parties. Our brief encounter with an international art thief. The Miller house next door sold to a retired couple who grew prize-winning roses and hosted bridge tournaments. Normal. Safe. Exactly what we wanted. We were happy. Mostly. Sometimes I catch Sarah staring at her jewelry box, at the empty space where her grandmother's necklace should be. The insurance had paid for its value, but some things can't be replaced by money. On our wedding anniversary, I surprised her with a custom replica of the emerald necklace. Not the same, but a gesture. She wore it with grace, but we both knew the copy held only a fraction of the meaning. "It's beautiful," she'd said, touching it gently. "Thank you for understanding why it matters." The FBI case remained open, but inactive. Agent Rivera moved to another assignment. Interpol occasionally reported sightings of Karim al-Jabouri in various cities. Istanbul, Marrakesh, Singapore, always a step ahead of authorities. Life went on. Then came the afternoon I returned home to find an unmarked package on our doorstep. No postage, no return address, just our name written in elegant script. I brought it inside, placing it on the kitchen counter, then called Sarah at work. "A package was delivered today," I said cautiously. "Hand-delivered, I think." There was silence on the line. Then, "What kind of package?" "Small. Box-shaped. No markings except our name." Don't open it, Sarah said immediately. I'm coming home. 20 minutes later, we stood together staring at the box. It could be nothing, I offered. Or it could be from him. Sarah's voice was tight. Should we call the police? She considered this, then shook her head. No, if it's what I think. I just want to know. Carefully, I opened the package. Inside was a velvet jewelry box and a handwritten note on expensive stationery. Sarah's hands trembled as she took the box. She opened it slowly, then gasped. Her grandmother's emerald necklace lay inside, catching the afternoon light, unmistakable in its unique setting and that tiny flaw in the center stone. I picked up the note and read aloud. A collector knows when it's time to relinquish a piece to its rightful owner. Some treasures belong where they are truly valued. Consider this a gesture of professional courtesy. Sarah touched the necklace gingerly, as if it might disappear. Is it real? Not another replica. I examined it closely, comparing it to old photos. It's real. The same small scratch on the clasp. The same uneven setting on the third stone. Why would he return it? After all this time? I thought about the man I'd glimpsed in Dubai. The text message. The chess player's respect for a worthy opponent. Honor among thieves? I suggested. Or maybe even art thieves have a conscience. Sarah carefully lifted the necklace, holding it to the light. Should we tell Agent Rivera? The police? The question hung between us. This was evidence in an ongoing investigation. The right thing, the legal thing, would be to report it immediately. And yet, what would they do with it? I asked quietly. Hold it as evidence. For years, probably. Sarah met my eyes. Until they catch him. Which might be never. She nodded slowly, understanding my implication. Your grandmother gave you this necklace on our wedding day, I said. She wanted you to wear it, to enjoy it, to pass it down to our daughters someday. Sarah held the necklace to her throat where it had always belonged. Help me put it on? I fastened the clasp, my fingers lingering on her neck. The emeralds glowed against her skin as if they'd never left. It's home, she whispered. That evening, we had dinner on the back porch. Sarah wearing her necklace, both of us understanding without speaking that some secrets were worth keeping. Sometimes justice took unexpected forms. As twilight deepened, I noticed something on the fence between our yard and what had once been Farid's house. A small origami crane, crafted from deep blue paper. I picked it up carefully. Inside, written in the same elegant hand as the note. The most valuable treasures are the ones that can't be stolen. Family, trust, honor. Farewell, worthy adversaries. Thus I showed it to Sarah, who read it silently, then looked out across the darkening neighborhood. Do you think he's here, watching? I scanned the shadows, the rooftops, the parked cars along our street. Nothing seemed out of place. Yet I felt it, that sense of being observed by calculating eyes. Maybe, or maybe this is just his final move in the game. Sarah's fingers touched her necklace. Should we be worried? I considered this, then shook my head. No, I think in his way he's saying goodbye. Later, tucking the girls into bed, I checked the windows twice, tested the locks on the doors. Old habits. But the fear that had driven those habits was fading. Our neighborhood was quiet again, safe. The danger had passed. Or perhaps we had simply learned to live with the knowledge that danger is always present, hidden behind smiles and ordinary facades. That trust must be earned, not freely given. That what appears benign may conceal darkness. And most importantly, that sometimes the greatest threats come from where you least expect them. Even from the house next door. As I drifted to sleep that night, Sarah's head on my shoulder, the emeralds gleaming on her nightstand, I thought about Farid one last time. The cultured student who brought baklava and charmed our family. The skilled thief who moved through the world collecting treasures. The man who in the end returned what mattered most. Our neighbor. Our adversary. Our strange lesson in seeing beneath surfaces. The game was over. We had not exactly won, but neither had we lost. And sometimes, in the complex contests of life, that balanced outcome is the closest thing to victory we can hope for. Wow, what a story. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our upcoming content.